Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. Today we're going to do something a little different. I'm not sure this will be interesting, but we're going to smoke two of our pork butts that we raise here on the farm. So come along. This is not something I'm really good at because I'm just getting started, but I want to share this experience and talk a little bit about why doing something like this is so important on a homestead. All right, so if you follow the channel for a while, you know last year Cam and I processed one of our boars here on farm instead of sending it out to be processed like we do our commercial pork. So with processing on that farm, then that's something we're in control over everything. So we took the pork butt, which as you guys know is the shoulder, and we boned it and cut it in half. So we have two pork butts. It's really one pork butt cut in half. We want to prepare that here not only for a good meal, but something that we can then vacuum seal back up and have other meals available on down the road. And we're going to be using our smoker, using our charcoal that we made on the farm, and kind of tying all those elements together. And the reason why I think this is important, even for our channel, we're not a cooking channel, but we try to promote food security, some self-reliance when it comes to our own food. And you can raise the food in your garden or on your pasture. You can even process that food and put it away, but you also need to make sure you can explore all the different ways to prepare it and to maybe even prepare it for long-term use. So it's just, to me, it's just an extension of what we're doing here to try to raise more of our own food and be more self-reliant when it comes to our food security. So let me show you what I've got. Yesterday morning, I set out these two half pork butts. I think one's 4.5 pounds, the other one's 3.5 pounds. So I let them thaw, and once they thawed, I went ahead and put a rub all over them. I applied that rub liberally to make sure all sides were coated, and want that to really kind of soak in. Kind of the salts will extract the moisture, and obviously the osmotic process there will pull some of that flavor into the pork. So let me show you what we've got here the next day. Oh, that's lovely. This is where I wish we had smell-o-vision. So already the seasoning is really soaked in quite a bit into these two beautiful chunks of meat here. And you can see the extraction of some of the juices because of the rub already in the bottom of the pan. So that's going to be really good stuff here. So I'm going to go get the smoker going, and we're going to put this on. We're going to do a 7-hour smoke is what I'm thinking. So we're going to do a 7-hour smoke is what I've been researching. Now again, I'm no smoking expert. I just recently acquired this smoker, and I think I'm using Meat Church's recipe. I follow them on YouTube. So I'm using kind of his go-by process, and that's what we're going to try and see how that goes. But let me get this smoker going. And today I'm going to be using some red oak. Ooh, that's bright. Using some red oak charcoal that we created earlier. I guess it was last month that created that. And I'll show you what we've got. So this is my first batch of charcoal I did using our charcoal burner. And some of the chunks didn't get completely cooked through, I realized after the fact, but they do quite well still in the smoker. They don't flame up too badly. And for this long 7-hour burn, those bigger chunks are going to be my friend. So we're going to drop a couple in here vertically. Parfait. And we're going to fill in the gaps. Breathe all that in. So I don't know that I've detailed this smoker. This is a gravity smoker. It does have an electronic component to it, so it runs a fan, determining on the temperature we set, has a meat probe. So it has some of that nice technology, and I was really reluctant to do that at first because to me, technology is something that breaks, especially when it comes to smoking. But I also realized I'm a neophyte when it comes to this, and something I'm trying to regulate temperature and manage all that. I figured I'd waste a lot of good meat. So this I look as a crutch to help me get better at it, and once I get better at it, then once this thing conks out, because the electronics, like I said, are going to fail, when it conks out, then either go buy an old school big smoker, create my own, who knows, you know me doing crazy projects, who knows, but something that's more old school, doesn't require the technology. But I do like this gravity fed concept. I love the fact that it uses lump coal instead of production-made charcoal that has all the funky stuff in it. So this is wood off of our property that we created, and charcoal we created. We didn't create the wood, we created the charcoal. And I'm gonna show you real quick how we light it. Super simple. Now, I'm not sponsored by Char Grill. I'm not sponsored by any grill company. And it's come to my attention in my video about the vacuum sealer that maybe should be more upfront about sponsoring. So if I say that somebody sent me a piece of equipment, or if you see the paid promotion at the front of my video, then please note that I have either received the product for free or have received the product for free plus some cash to talk about it. Now that doesn't mean it gets a stamp of approval immediately from me. It's something that I'll tell you that, hey, I just got this, we're just trying it out. Or if it's something we've had for a long time, I'll disclose that. So those of y'all that feel that I'm being a little dishonest with that, I apologize. That's not the intent. I want to show products that I feel have value on our homestead and would have value on yours. Okay, enough of that, right? So to light this, we're going to let our chimney open up here. We're going to open up our air intake. This is where the fan resides. We're going to open up the ash chamber. And I'm going to take a food grade, which is most of these are all food grade type igniters. These are those little fire starter bricks that you can get. And there's a little shelf in there. Set that on. Oh, need to pull out the damper as well. Always forget that part. We're going to introduce fire. Fire. Burn, baby, burn. So the concept behind this is actually pretty simple. So fire takes place here, fuel is fed down, this gets closed up, the chimney gets closed up so it's not drawing air in, so you don't get the chimney effect. The fire and heat go that way, air comes in through the fan regulates how much air is introduced, of course, helps regulate the temperature. So once this gets going, I'm going to shut these doors down, and the only air source comes from our fan intake. All right, so now we're going to plug the turkey in here. And we're going to shoot for a temperature of 275. I don't know if you can hear, but you can hear that fan running. So we're going to get that up to temperature, and while I'm waiting, I'm going to go grab my butts. Let's get a little smoky around here. All right, so I got my butts, both cheeks right here. We are at 150, still heating up. Got a pan of water, and we'll put that on the top shelf to obviously keep some moisture in there. And then the meat church guy He says spritz with apple cider vinegar every couple hours. So yes, this is a food grade. We are going to spritz with apple cider, and we're going to look at going for about I think 2 to 4 hours. And he talks about the bark. You want a good bark on the meat, this nice crust, and then we'll put it in a aluminum pan, tent it, and then finish it off. The internal temperature we want, according to them, is about 200 degrees, which is higher than I've normally taken meat, but we'll see how it goes. So why do I feel this is an important part of our Red Tool House channel and not just some floofy extra stuff? Well, I think, especially if you all have younger kids, it's all about raising food, right, for those kids so they have cleaner food to eat. But it also has to be something really engaging. I think God created us with taste buds and appreciate good food, appreciate good drink. And if you want the kids to eat healthy stuff and get away from all the junk, then you got to do what you can to make this really good. Now, granted, my teenagers are in the upper end of the teenage years, and they understand the importance of good quality food. So even if it didn't taste as great, they would still appreciate it for the fact it was raised here in a very natural process. But I'm hoping if we do this right, they're like, okay, that's better than any barbecue place we could ever get out in a fast food chain or anything. So that's what we're shooting for. So learning to do this back-end processing really comes in handy. Now, the 4 of us are not going to eat that entire pork butt. That's almost 8 pounds of meat. We're not going to eat that in one sitting. So we're going to be able to freeze some of that. I'll vacuum seal it and freeze it in portions that if the boys wanted to thaw something out, heat it up and eat it for lunch, then they've got a really good lunch opportunity versus even getting deli ham or some crap like that that's full of sodium. So that's why I think it's an important part of our homestead to look at some of these value-added processing on the end of the food that we raise. All right, so we're up to temperature. Let's throw some meat on there. All right, that's our first 2 hours. We're going to open up and we're going to do some spritzing. All right, so we'll set our timer for another 2 hours. And you see my the probe here, we're up to 111 degrees. So in 2 hours we've come up from 50 degrees to 111, 109. So we've gained, what, 60 degrees roughly? And we're shooting for another 90 degrees. We want to be at 200. Little brown sugar. All right, so it has been 7 hours, I believe, since it started, and my meat probe died. In fact, right now, sitting right here on the little shelf, it's still reading 298 degrees. So that is not 298 degrees. So that's a drag. So that's that element of technology I was talking about. So I had to go to a backup, and I know this thing reads a little low, so it's reading 198. Kelly and Cam have everything else ready. They just finished up. Cam was making some homemade fries with some like a custom dipping sauce type of thing. Kelly made her famous brown beans. So we're ready to chow down on this. So the big question is, did I totally screw this up, or is this going to be good? But I'm going to take it out of here, and yeah, that's hot. And we're going to go in and get it shredded up and get it plated up. All right, y'all, you want to pull the lid off? You want to look? Oh, snap. That looked delicious. What do you think of the flavor of everything?
Oh my gosh. The flavor is excellent.
But it could be less tough, right?
It could be less tough.
All right, we'll work on it.
But I'm still going to eat it.
Okay, fast forward several weeks and discussion with Kelly and the boys after we had dinner. Flavor was fantastic. Color was great. The bark on the outside was really good. But it just wasn't tender. You couldn't pull it apart. In fact, we had to slice it, which was a bit of a drag because that's kind of the whole point in making pulled pork barbecue is you want it to be able to pull. So here's the thing I'm thinking, and this is I would say it's an expensive test, but fortunately it's pork that we've raised. So what that boneless butt that we smoked, the first one, was Napoleon. So that was our boar who we processed. Now we didn't have any taint issues, anything like that, but he was about a 3-year-old boar. 2-year-old, 3, yeah, somewhere around in there. So he was a little longer in the tooth. So what I've got on here now is a picnic. So that's a picnic roast, and that's one off of one of our processed hogs, commercially processed hogs, which would only be 8 months old. So I want to see if the tenderness is coming from the age of the pork more so than the process. So I'm doing exactly the same process, and we'll see. Again, that would be a drag if we have another one that's, it wasn't that it was inedible, it just wasn't as enjoyable as we wanted it to. So we'll see how this goes. So I've just put it on, I put it on at noon, and so it's been on for 45 minutes already, and it's, it's only around 65 degrees internal temperature. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring it all the way up to, we're going to shoot for 165, then we're going to tent it, wrap it up, and then try to get over 200 internal temp. And we'll see how it goes. Alrighty. We're supposed to let this rest, but I want to look at it, and then I'll cover it back up to let it rest. Oh, don't that look gorgeous. There's a leg bone right there. Alright, so the bone's supposed to come right out of here. Oh, look at that. There's a bone coming out of there. Oh, snap. I think we in business, Kelly. Miss Kelly. Can I have a fork, please? Because it is hot. We're supposed to let this rest all the way before we tear into it. We hungry. It's got some heat on it too. I like it. Oh, it's going apart way better. Look at that. That's just falling apart. Okay, this will make you speak with a southern accent if you don't watch it. Lemon! Sit on, son.
Oh, no, you don't.
Look at it.
All right, so what's the verdict?
You nailed it this time. Perfect. All of the above compared to the last one. I think that, yeah, all of the above. Very tender, very flavorful, juicy. Excellent. Reminded me of being at the barbecue restaurant.
Well, all right, so it looks like that proves our theory that new butt is better than old butt. So, would you agree, Kel? Did that work out that way?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so more tender, more juicy, more flavor, I think I got a little bit better bark on Napoleon's butt. But other than that, I think everything with this one was much better. So we're going to keep playing around with the butts. And if we come to any crazy revelation, we'll clearly do a video about it. Wish I could share some of these leftovers with you because we have some, but it's YouTube. And we'll probably get these taken care of here in the next 24 hours. Well, we appreciate everybody watching. Y'all take care.